The stars looked different from the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense station. Captain Alan Carter had spent 20 years in space, but he never tired of the view. His moment of peace ended when the alarm blared. Red lights flashed across the command center as officers rushed to their stations. "Sir, we've got multiple objects entering the solar system," said Lieutenant Frank Myers, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. "They're moving fast, faster than anything we've ever recorded." Alan leaned forward. "Natural phenomenon?" "No, sir. The objects are changing course. They're adjusting to avoid Jupiter's gravitational field." Alan's heart raced. After decades of searching the stars, it was happening. First contact. He pressed the emergency transmission button on his console. "This is Captain Carter of Earth Orbital Defense. We have confirmed intelligent non-Earth vessels entering our solar system. Initiating first contact protocol." Down on Earth, Susan Miller was eating breakfast when her phone buzzed with an urgent message. As head of global communications for the United Nations, she had practiced for this moment countless times. Still, her hands shook as she read the message. "They're here," she whispered to her empty kitchen. Within an hour, Susan sat in the United Nations emergency chamber in New York. Giant screens showed the incoming vessels, sleek metallic ships that shimmered with an otherworldly light. There were dozens of them, then hundreds as more poured in from the edges of the solar system. Jack Howard, chief diplomat for extraterrestrial affairs, stood to address the assembled world leaders. He looked calm, but Susan could see the tension in his shoulders. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have prepared for this day. We will attempt peaceful communication according to Protocol 7. If these visitors come in peace, this will be the greatest day in human history. If not..." He paused. "We have contingencies." On the main screen, they watched as Earth sent its first message, a simple mathematical sequence designed to demonstrate intelligence, followed by images of Earth's diverse life and human achievements. They waited. The alien response came not as a return message, but as a shift in formation. The vessels now arranged themselves in attack positions. "They're ignoring our transmission," Susan said, her voice steady despite her racing pulse. "Try, again on all frequencies." The Earth sent more messages: music, art, offers of friendship. The aliens responded by launching smaller craft toward Earth. In the Nevada desert, Major Gary Peters watched the sky as strange ships descended. He had command of America's most advanced military base, hidden beneath the sand and rocks. The base housed technology that most of the world didn't know existed. Tech developed in secret, inspired by crash sites and strange signals over decades. "All units prepare for possible hostile encounter," Gary ordered through his comm. "Remember, your training. We don't fire unless fired upon." The alien ships landed 2 miles from the base perimeter. Gary watched through high-powered binoculars as a door opened on the closest ship. The creatures that emerged stood on 2 legs but looked nothing like humans. They had blue-gray skin with no hair, eyes that wrapped halfway around their heads, and stood nearly 8 feet tall. They carried objects that could only be weapons. Gary's radio crackled. "Sir, we're getting a transmission from the UN. The aliens are called Xerixians. They've made contact with the orbital station but refuse to talk. They say Earth is now under their control." Gary lowered his binoculars. "So that's how it's going to be." On the orbital station, Alan Carter faced the alien commander through the view screen. The Xerixian, who called himself Vexthar, had the look of someone who expected no resistance. "Your world is now part of the Xerixian Empire," Vexthar announced. "Surrender your defensive capabilities and prepare for occupation." Alan kept his face neutral. "With respect, Commander Vexthar, we haven't even had a chance to know each other. Earth would welcome peaceful exchange, but we cannot and will not surrender our sovereignty." The alien made a sound like stones grinding together, perhaps laughter. "You misunderstand, human. This is not a negotiation. The Galactic Council has designated your solar system as Xerixian territory. Your technology is primitive. Your defenses are inadequate. Resistance would be pointless." If you've studied us enough to find us, you should know that humans don't respond well to threats, Alan replied. Vexthar's wide eyes narrowed. We have conquered 1,472 worlds. You will be 1,473. The screen went black. Alan turned to his crew. Send word to Earth. The Xerixians aren't here to make friends. In Nevada, the aliens marched toward the base. They carried no flags, made no further attempts at communication. Their weapons glowed with strange energy. Gary ordered his troops to hold position behind the hidden defense line. The most advanced weapons Earth had ever developed were trained on the approaching aliens. Still, he hoped it wouldn't come to that. Young soldier beside Gary whispered, "Sir, do we have a chance against them? Their ships can cross galaxies." Gary nodded. "Remember what they don't know, son. They don't know that we found one of their scout ships 60 years ago in Roswell. They don't know we've been adapting their technology ever since. Most importantly, they don't know what humans are capable of when our backs are against the wall." The first alien shots hit the sand near the hidden base entrance, vaporizing rock into glass. Their message was clear. "All units," Gary said into his comm. "Defensive positions only. Let's show our visitors why Earth was a poor choice for their invasion." The ground beneath the aliens suddenly shifted. Hidden panels opened, revealing weapons that combined human ingenuity with reverse-engineered alien tech. The Xerixians hesitated, just for a moment, and in that hesitation, Gary saw something unexpected. Surprise. In orbit, Alan Carter watched as more Xerixian ships positioned themselves around Earth. He had trained his whole life to protect humanity, never truly believing the day would come. Now it was here, and despite the fear, he felt strangely calm. "Sir," Lieutenant Myers called out, "the lunar defense grid is online. Earth's major powers have activated their defense shields." Alan nodded. "Send word to all stations. The Xerixians think we're primitive because we haven't spread among the stars yet. Let's show them why we've been so focused on protecting our home." As the first Xerixian weapons fired upon Earth's atmosphere, they met not the simple barrier they expected, but a complex energy shield that absorbed and redirected their attack. On the Nevada desert floor, their ground troops found not easy targets but soldiers equipped with weapons that matched their own. Commander Vexthar stared at the battle reports with growing confusion. This was not proceeding according to plan. These humans were not behaving like a pre-galactic species should. Something was very wrong. And for the first time in his long military career, Vexthar felt a flicker of doubt. Lisa Garcia had been tending to her cornfields when she saw the strange lights in the sky. At first she thought it was a weather phenomenon or military exercise. It wasn't until she heard the emergency broadcast that she understood what was happening. Aliens had come to Earth and they weren't friendly. Most people would panic. Lisa went to her basement instead. She moved aside an old bookshelf, revealing a metal door with a fingerprint scanner. Inside was a room filled with weapons and equipment from her days in Special Forces. She had retired from active duty 5 years ago, but old habits die hard. Lisa suited up and grabbed her emergency radio. "This is Ghost 6 calling any military personnel in the western Colorado region. Does anyone copy?" The radio crackled. "Ghost 6, this is Eagle Nest. We've got Xerixian ships landing 10 miles north of your position. They're establishing some kind of base." "Understood," Lisa replied. "I'm moving to observe. Any orders from command?" "Command structure is scattered. With the initial attacks, we're operating on contingency protocols. Observe and report. Engage only if necessary." Lisa checked her gear one last time before heading out. The fields provided good cover as she moved north, keeping to irrigation, ditches and tree lines. As she approached the alien landing site, she used her scope to assess the situation. The Xerixians had set up a perimeter around 3 large ships. They moved with military precision, setting up equipment and defensive positions. Lisa counted. At least 50 aliens armed with energy weapons. She was about to retreat and report when she noticed something odd. The aliens were gathering soil, plant, and water samples. They're testing our environment, she whispered to herself. A mile away in the small town of Riverdale, Paul Johnson was hiding in his workshop. As the town's only engineer, he had helped build everything from tractors to the local power grid. Now he was studying something entirely different, a piece of alien technology he had salvaged from a crashed scout ship. The small device had fallen from one of the alien vessels during their descent. It appeared to be part of their shielding system. Paul had always been good at figuring out how things worked, and this was no exception. The technology was advanced, but the principles were recognizable. "It's a modulator," he muttered, as he carefully disassembled the device. "They use frequency shifts to deflect energy weapons." He reached for his phone. The regular networks were down, but the old ham radio in the corner still worked. "This is Riverdale Base to any Earth defense. I have critical information about alien shield technology." In Nevada, the battle had reached a stalemate. The Xerixian ground troops had expected easy victory, but instead found themselves pinned down by human forces using surprisingly effective weapons. Major Gary Peters received Paul's transmission and immediately recognized its importance. "Get me a secure line to all defense bases," he ordered, "and find me someone who can get to Riverdale." "Sir," a communications officer replied, "Ghost 6 is in that region." Gary nodded. "Contact her. We need that technology." The Xerixians, frustrated by the unexpected resistance, decided to change tactics. Commander Vexthar ordered the deployment of biological weapons designed to target Earth's dominant species. "The humans will not expect this," Vexthar told his officers. "Their primitive immune systems will be overwhelmed." The Xerixians released clouds of engineered pathogens over several major cities. They expected mass casualties and surrender. What they got was confusion. Dr. Olivia Benson was working in the CDC's Emergency Response Center when the first samples of the alien pathogens arrived. As she studied them under the microscope, she began to laugh. Her colleague looked at her strangely. "What's funny about alien biological warfare?" Olivia pointed to the screen. "These pathogens are designed to attack specific biological pathways. But human biology is different from whatever species they've conquered before. And Earth's pathogens are some of the most aggressive in existence. Our immune systems have evolved to fight them." "You mean their bioweapons won't work?" "Not only that," Olivia said, reaching for her phone. "I think we might be dangerous to them." While Earth's military forces held the line, Lisa Garcia made her way to Riverdale. She found Paul Johnson's workshop with the engineer still hard at work. "I hear you have something that can help us," she said. Paul looked up from his workbench. "Their shields operate on a predictable frequency pattern. If we can synchronize our weapons to match these patterns, we can penetrate their defenses." Lisa nodded. "Can you build something to demonstrate?" "Already have." Paul held up a modified pulse rifle. "This should cut through their shields like they don't exist." Lisa took the weapon. Time for a field test. In orbit, Captain Alan Carter received reports from around the world. The Xerixians were facing unexpected resistance on all fronts. Their biological weapons had failed completely. Their ground troops were meeting sophisticated opposition. And now there were reports of modified human weapons breaching their shields. "Sir," Lieutenant Myers reported, "the alien fleet is adjusting formation. They appear to be preparing for a larger attack." Alan frowned. "They're doubling down, rather, then reassessing. That's useful information." On his flagship, Commander Vexthar received increasingly concerning reports. His ground forces were taking unexpected casualties. The biological weapons had no effect, and now the humans were adapting their weapons to bypass Xerixian shields. "Impossible," he muttered. "They are a pre-galactic species. They should be begging for mercy by now." His second-in-command approached cautiously. "Sir, perhaps we should report these developments to High Command." Vexthar's eyes narrowed. "And admit we underestimated these primitives?" "No. We will increase our efforts. Prepare the orbital bombardment platforms." As Xerixian ships moved into position for orbital strikes, Earth's hidden defense grid activated. Laser platforms concealed on the moon's surface. Anti-ship missiles launching from underwater bases. satellite weapons that had been disguised as space debris. The coordinated counterattack caught the Xerixians completely by surprise. Several of their smaller ships were destroyed immediately. The larger vessels suffered damage to key systems. In New York, Colorado, Lisa Garcia led a small team of local fighters, armed with Paul's modified weapons, against the Xerixian base. They moved silently through the night, taking out alien sentries one by one. When they reached the command center, Lisa stepped into view, her weapon aimed at the Xerixian leader. "We'd like to have a word about your invasion plans," she said. As battles raged across Earth and in orbit, news of the conflict reached beyond the solar system. The Galactic Council, governing body of over 200 spacefaring civilizations, received the first confused reports from Xerixian communication channels. Council member Zivra read the initial report with disbelief. "They say the humans are fighting back? With effective weapons?" Assistant Council member Drell checked the data again. "It appears so, and the reports suggest the humans had advanced technology hidden away, as if they were expecting this." Zivra's expression darkened. The Xerixians may have made a grave miscalculation. The Galactic Council chambers were unlike anything humans had ever built. The massive room curved in impossible ways, with seating for over 200 different species arranged in a spiral pattern. Light came from everywhere and nowhere at once. The air smelled of strange spices and electrical storms. Amy Bennett stood at the center of it all, trying not to show how overwhelmed she felt. Just 3 days ago, she had been a mid-level diplomat working on trade agreements. Now she was Earth's hastily appointed ambassador to the Galactic Council, wearing a borrowed spacesuit modified to keep her alive in the Council's alien atmosphere. "Species representative acknowledged," announced a mechanical voice. "Earth human Amy Bennett may address the Council." Amy took a deep breath. "Honored Council members, I come before you under exceptional circumstances. The Xerixian Empire has launched an unprovoked attack on my homeworld. We request immediate intervention according to the Council's laws against unauthorized aggression." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. A tall, thin alien with 6 limbs and skin like polished metal spoke first. "The human speaks of laws she cannot know. Earth is not a Council member. Earth has no standing here." Amy nodded respectfully. "That is true, Council member. However, we learned of your existence and laws from captured Xerixian databases. The attack on our world was not preceded by the formal contact procedures your own charter requires." The Council chamber grew quiet. A small, round alien with eyes that changed color floated forward. "How did primitives capture Xerixian databases? Your species does not have faster-than-light travel. You should not have technology capable of breaching Xerixian security." Instead of answering directly, Amy activated the holographic projector she had brought. The chamber filled with images from Earth, the initial Xerixian attack, and then the human response. Alien ships falling from the sky. Xerixian ground troops retreating from human forces. Commander Vexthar's flagship taking heavy damage from Earth's hidden defense grid. The Xerixian ambassador, a tall figure with ceremonial battle scars, jumped to his feet. "These images are fabricated. No pre-space species could resist our military might." Amy played the next recording. A captured Xerixian officer admitting that they had underestimated Earth's defenses and technological capabilities. "We did not know the humans had such weapons," the officer said in the recording. "They fight like nothing we have encountered before." The Council erupted in competing voices. Some demanded verification. Others called for an immediate investigation. The Xerixian ambassador shouted for silence, claiming the recordings were clever fakes. The head council member, an ancient being with skin that looked like the night sky, raised a limb. The chamber fell silent. "Ambassador Bennett, these claims require explanation. If true, they represent a serious violation of council law. If false, your deception will have consequences." Amy nodded. "We understand. That is why we brought witnesses." The chamber doors opened and 2 Xerixian prisoners entered, escorted by human guards. The aliens looked nervous but unharmed. "These officers surrendered during the attack on our Nevada defense base," Amy explained. They have agreed to testify in exchange for fair treatment. One of the Xerixian prisoners stepped forward. What the human says is true. We were told Earth would fall easily. We were not prepared for their level of resistance. The council chamber exploded in noise again. The Xerixian ambassador was now shouting threats. The head council member called for order, then turned to Amy. If what you say is true, why was Earth able to resist? Your species does not have the technology for space travel beyond your own system. Amy gestured, and William Reed stepped forward. He was Earth's leading historian on warfare and technological development. William cleared his throat. Respected council, humans have a unique history. While we have not yet developed faster-than-light travel, we have focused intensely on defensive technology. This is because of our past. William activated his own projector, showing images from Earth's many wars, ancient battles with swords and shields, world wars with tanks and planes, modern conflicts with advanced weapons. Humans have fought over 15,000 documented wars among ourselves, William explained. This has driven our technological development in unexpected ways. When alien scout ships crashed on our planet over the past century, we studied and adapted their technology in secret. A shocked silence fell over the chamber. The head council member's skin swirled with patterns that might have been concern. 15,000 wars, and you still survive as a species? William nodded. We are adaptable, and we learn quickly. He showed more images. Human scientists reverse engineering alien technology, Earth's hidden defense grid, the rapid adaptation of weapons to counter Xerixian shields. When the Xerixians attacked, they expected primitive resistance. Instead, they found a species that had been preparing for extraterrestrial threats for generations, guided by a history of conflict that made us uniquely prepared for resistance. The small, round alien floated closer to William. You speak of your wars as if they are a source of pride. Do you not understand how disturbing this is? William shook his head. Not pride, council member. Survival. Humans don't want war. But we have learned to be very, very good at it when necessary. The Xerixian ambassador pushed his way to the center of the chamber. These humans are a danger to the galactic order. They admit to stealing our technology. They boast of their warlike nature. Amy stepped forward again. We didn't steal anything. We studied crashed ships that landed on our world without permission. And we aren't boasting about war. We're explaining why your invasion failed. The head council members' patterns shifted again. The council must deliberate on these matters, but first we require more information. Ambassador Bennett, is your species continuing hostilities against the Xerixian forces? Amy's expression hardened slightly. The Xerixians attempted to conquer our world without warning or provocation. We are defending our home as is our right. However, we would prefer a peaceful resolution. As the council members discussed among themselves, the Xerixian ambassador approached Amy and William. This is not over, humans, he hissed quietly. The Empire does not forget or forgive. William smiled slightly. Neither do we. That's what your people failed to understand. In a quiet corner of the chamber, two elder council members watched the proceedings with concern. A species with such capacity for warfare, but without the stabilizing influence of council membership, one said softly. And now they have been provoked, the other replied. The Xerixians may have awakened something dangerous. On Earth, the battle continued. Lisa Garcia's team had captured 3 Xerixian forward bases. Paul Johnson's shield-penetrating technology had been distributed to defense forces worldwide. Dr. Olivia Benson had discovered that some Earth bacteria were actually harmful to Xerixian biology, leading to a new defensive measure. Captain Allen Carter's orbital defense station had taken damage but remained operational. From his command center, he coordinated the global resistance effort. Sir, Lieutenant Myers reported, we're receiving a transmission from Ambassador Bennett at the Galactic Council. Allen straightened his uniform. Put her through. Amy's face appeared on the screen, her expression serious but hopeful. Captain, the Council is listening. They're considering sanctions against the Xerixian Empire, but we need to hold out longer. Alan nodded. We're doing more than holding out, Ambassador. We're pushing them back. The news spread across Earth's defense network. They were not alone in the galaxy. Help might be coming. But until then, humanity would continue to do what it had always done when threatened. Fight back, adapt, survive. Admiral Victoria Martinez stood on the bridge of the USS Independence, Earth's first true space battleship. 3 months ago, it had been an orbital defense platform. Now, after intense retrofitting with captured alien technology, it was the flagship of humanity's counteroffensive. Status report, Victoria said, her calm voice belying the tension of the moment. All systems online, Admiral, her second-in-command reported. The fleet is in position. Reverse-engineered jump drives are functioning within expected parameters. Victoria nodded, studying the tactical display. The remaining Xerixian forces had pulled back to a defensive position near Mars. They had requested reinforcements, but Earth's new long-range sensors indicated that help was still days away. This might be humanity's only chance to strike before the odds shifted. Signal the fleet, Victoria ordered. Execute Operation Thunderbolt. Across the solar system, 20 human vessels, a mix of retrofitted defense platforms and captured Xerixian ships, moved into attack formation. It was a tiny force compared to what the Xerixian Empire could field, but it was all Earth had. The Xerixian commander watched the approaching human fleet with disbelief. They are attacking us? With our own ships? His tactical officer looked equally confused. They have somehow adapted our technology in mere months, and they appear to be using some kind of formation we have not seen before. The human fleet suddenly split into 3 groups, executing a maneuver that made no sense to the Xerixians. Instead of concentrating their firepower, they seemed to be deliberately splitting their forces. On the Independence, Victoria smiled. They're confused. Good. Begin Phase 2. The human fleet executed a complex series of movements that seemed random to the watching Xerixians. It was only when the trap closed that they understood. It's an ancient Earth naval tactic called crossing. The T, Victoria explained to her bridge crew. From the age of sailing ships, we're positioning ourselves to bring all our firepower to bear while they can only use their forward weapons. The Xerixians, with their millennia of space combat experience, had never encountered such primitive yet effective tactics. Their standard combat formations fell apart as they tried to adapt to the unexpected human approach. Back on Earth, military historian Kevin Wright was giving a presentation to the Joint Defense Council. Maps and diagrams covered the walls of the underground bunker. The key to understanding our advantage is perspective, Kevin said, pointing to a chart showing Xerixian battle tactics. The Xerixians fight like a species that has been dominant for thousands of years. They follow established protocols and expect certain responses. He switched to a display showing Earth's military history. Humans fight like underdogs because that's what we've always been. Each human nation developed different tactics based on their resources and challenges. We've spent centuries trying to outsmart each other. General Sam Harris nodded thoughtfully. So we're unpredictable because we've never had the luxury of fighting the same way twice. Exactly, Kevin replied. The Xerixians expect us to either surrender or fight according to their rules. They don't understand that humans wrote the book on asymmetric warfare. In orbit around Mars, the battle was turning decisively in Earth's favor. The Xerixian ships, designed for head-on engagements with equally advanced opponents, struggled against the human tactics that combined modern technology with ancient naval strategies. Victoria watched as the enemy formation crumbled. Press the advantage, target their command ship. The Independence fired its main weapon, a modified version of the Xerixians' own energy cannon. The beam struck the enemy flagship, cutting through shields that had not been recalibrated to counter the human modifications. Direct hit, reported the weapons officer. Their command ship is crippled. Victoria didn't allow herself to celebrate yet. Open a channel. The view screen showed the Xerixian commander, his ship's bridge filled with smoke and damaged equipment. This is Admiral Martinez of Earth Defense. Your position is untenable. Surrender your forces or be destroyed. The Xerixian commander stared at her with all four of his eyes. You are savages. How did you adapt our technology so quickly? Victoria's expression remained neutral. We've had plenty of practice. Your decision, Commander. Surrender or fight. After a moment of silence, the alien commander lowered his head. We surrender. News of the human victory spread quickly. On Earth, people celebrated cautiously, knowing the war was far from over. In the Galactic Council chambers, the unexpected development caused further uproar. The Xerixian ambassador was now facing a hostile audience. This is a temporary setback. When your main fleet arrives, they will face a species that has already proven more adaptable than you expected, interrupted a council member. Perhaps it is time to reconsider this aggression. Meanwhile, in a secret laboratory beneath Geneva, Dr. Nathan Patel was completing his analysis of Xerixian psychology. As Earth's leading xenopsychologist, he had been studying the captured aliens and their behavior patterns. They're fundamentally hierarchical, Nathan explained to the assembled military leaders. Their entire society is built on clearly defined roles and strict obedience to authority. He displayed brain scans comparing human and Xerixian thought patterns. Humans are more flexible. We question authority. We improvise. For the Xerixians, these traits are seen as dangerous and disruptive. Lisa Garcia, now promoted to colonel for her successful guerrilla campaign, nodded. That explains why they were so thrown off by our tactics. They were waiting for orders while we were adapting on the fly. Nathan pointed to another display showing Xerixian communication patterns. There's something else. They communicate emotions differently than we do. What we see as determination, they interpret as irrational aggression. Our willingness to fight despite the odds doesn't make sense to them. Can we use this? Asked General Harris. Nathan smiled. We already are. Every time we refuse to surrender, every time we adapt instead of following their expected patterns, we confuse and demoralize them. In deep space, the Xerixian High Command received the disturbing news. Not only had their invasion force failed, but they had suffered a direct defeat at the hands of the humans. Impossible, declared High Commander Zexcor. No pre-FTL species has ever defeated an Imperial battle group. His advisors shifted uncomfortably. The reports are verified, High Commander. The humans have captured our ships, adapted our technology, and developed effective countermeasures to our weapons. Zexcor's eyes narrowed. Then we will send a proper invasion force, 5 times the original number. These humans will learn their place. One advisor, braver than the rest, stepped forward. High Commander, with respect, perhaps we should reconsider. The reports from Earth suggest these humans possess unusual characteristics. Their rate of technological adaptation exceeds anything in our records. And now the Galactic Council is involved. The Council is weak, Zexcor snapped. And these humans are an anomaly that will be crushed by sufficient force. As the Xerixian reinforcements prepared for departure, other species in the galaxy began to take notice of the small blue planet that had defied expectations. Several worlds sent discreet messages to Earth, offering alliance or trade opportunities. Some were genuinely impressed by human resilience. Others simply saw an opportunity to gain an advantage against the Xerixian Empire. On the Independence, Admiral Martinez received word of the approaching Xerixian fleet. They're sending everything they have, her intelligence officer reported. This won't be like the last battle. Victoria studied the projected numbers with a grim expression. The odds were overwhelming. Even with their newly acquired technology and tactics, Earth might not survive a full-scale assault. Send word to Ambassador Bennett, Victoria ordered. Tell her we need the Council's intervention now, and tell all Earth forces. We may be outnumbered, but we're still in this fight. Humanity has faced worse odds before. As the message was transmitted, Victoria looked out at the stars. The final battle for Earth's freedom was about to begin. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 200 species filled the spiral seating, while thousands more watched through neural feeds. This emergency session had drawn more attention than any meeting in the past 5 centuries. The head council member's skin swirled with patterns of concern as he called the session to order. We gather today to address the conflict between the Xerixian Empire and Earth. Both parties will present their final positions before the council votes. Ambassador Amy Bennett stood at the center of the chamber, looking more confident than she had during her first appearance. 3 months of diplomatic work had taught her much about galactic politics. Honored Council, Amy began. Earth did not seek this conflict. We did not even know the Xerixian Empire existed until they entered our solar system with weapons ready. They ignored our attempts at peaceful communication. They declared our planet their property without negotiation. She activated her holographic display, showing the initial invasion and Earth's defensive response. We have defended ourselves as is our right. We have captured Xerixian ships and technology, yes, but only those used to attack us. And now with the Xerixian High Command preparing an even larger invasion force, we ask the Council to enforce its own laws against unprovoked aggression. The Xerixian ambassador strode forward, his ceremonial battle armor glinting under the chamber's lights. The humans distort the truth, he said. Earth was designated as Xerixian territory by proper imperial procedure. These primitives had no right to resist. Their continued defiance proves they are too dangerous to join the galactic community. Murmurs filled the chamber. The ambassador continued, his voice rising. The humans admit they have spent millennia fighting among themselves. They boast of their skill in warfare. They have stolen our technology and turned it against us. I ask, the Council, do you want such a species loose in the galaxy? Amy waited until the ambassador finished. We do not boast of war. We simply acknowledge our history. And yes, we adapted Xerixian technology, after being attacked without provocation. As for being dangerous, she paused, looking directly at the Xerixian. We only become dangerous when threatened. The debate continued for hours. Other species spoke, some supporting the Xerixians' right to expand their empire, others defending Earth's right to self-determination. The chamber grew increasingly divided. Then the doors opened and a hush fell over the assembly. The Xerixian Emperor himself entered, flanked by elite guards. His presence was unprecedented. Emperors rarely involved themselves directly in council matters. The Emperor's eyes swept the chamber before fixing on Amy. This minor dispute has consumed enough attention, he said, his voice deep and commanding. I have come to settle it personally. He approached Amy, towering over the human ambassador. Your species has shown unexpected qualities, but the Empire has decided. Earth will submit, or Earth will burn. Instead of cowering, Amy stood her ground. Emperor, with respect, threats will not work with humans. We have a saying, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. The history of Earth is full of empires that thought their power made them invincible. The Emperor's guards tensed, hands moving to their weapons. But before the situation could escalate, the chamber doors opened again. Admiral Victoria Martinez entered, accompanied by a small human delegation. She wore her formal uniform, medals gleaming on her chest. Behind her walked scientists, soldiers, and diplomats who had been key to Earth's resistance. The head council members' skin patterns shifted to surprise. The council recognizes Admiral Martinez of Earth Defense Forces. Victoria bowed respectfully to the council before turning to face the Xerixian Emperor. Your Majesty, I come directly from the battle line. Before you make your final decision about Earth, I believe you should be aware of certain developments. She activated her own holographic display. It showed Earth's orbital defenses, now greatly expanded with adapted Xerixian technology. It showed factories producing new weapons and ships. It showed training facilities where humans learned to pilot alien vessels with remarkable speed. In the 3 months since your forces attacked, we have reverse-engineered much of your technology. We have built our own fleet. We have developed countermeasures to your weapons. The Emperor's expression remained hard. Impressive, but futile. The Empire's resources are vast beyond your comprehension. Victoria nodded. We understand that. We know we cannot match your numbers. But consider this, Emperor. What other species has ever advanced so quickly? What other world has taken your own technology and improved it within months? She showed comparative scans of original Xerixian shields and the human-modified versions. The improvements were obvious even to non-technical observers. This is humanity when threatened, Victoria continued. This is what we can do when survival is at stake. We don't want war with the Xerixian Empire or anyone else. But if forced to fight, we will commit everything to our defense. The Emperor studied the display, his expression unreadable. You speak of peace while showing me weapons. I show you reality, Victoria replied. You have a choice, Emperor. You can continue this conflict and eventually overwhelm us with sheer numbers. You would win and eventually. But the cost would be enormous and you would never know peace. Humans do not forget. We do not surrender, even when defeated. Our history is filled with occupied nations that fought back for generations. Amy stepped forward again. Or you can choose another path. Recognize Earth's sovereignty. Establish diplomatic relations. Trade knowledge instead of fire. The Emperor turned to the Council. And if I refuse? Will the Council stop me? The head, Council members' pattern shifted to resolve. The Council has heard enough, the evidence is clear. The Xerixian Empire violated protocol in its approach to Earth. The human response, while surprising in its effectiveness, was legal self-defense under Council statutes. The Council chamber grew deadly quiet as the head Council member continued. The Council hereby sanctions the Xerixian Empire for unprovoked aggression. All member species are forbidden from supporting the Empire's actions against Earth. Furthermore, Earth is granted provisional protected status, while formal membership procedures are initiated. The Emperor's eyes narrowed dangerously. For a moment, it seemed he might challenge the Council's decision. But a lifetime of political calculation prevailed. With a curt nod, he stepped back. The Empire acknowledges the Council's decision. We will withdraw our forces from the Earth system. He fixed his gaze on Victoria and Amy. But we will be watching your species very closely. As the Emperor departed, the tension in the chamber slowly dissipated. Other species began approaching the human delegation, curious about the newcomers who had accomplished the impossible. On Earth, people celebrated the news of peace. The war was over. Humanity had survived its first contact with alien life. Violent, as it had been. Now came the challenging work of joining the galactic community. In the galactic archives, the official record for Earth was updated with a special notation. Remarkable adaptive capacity. Demonstrates unprecedented rate of technological assimilation when threatened. Approach with diplomatic respect. Under no circumstances attempt hostile action. A junior archivist looked up at his supervisor. Is this warning really necessary? They seem peaceful enough now. The senior archivist, who had watched the Council proceedings, nodded gravely. Remember what their historian said, 15,000 wars among themselves before they even left their planet. They turned our oldest enemy's weapons against them in mere months. Yes, young one, the warning is necessary. He added a final line to the entry. In all the galaxy, only humans have shown the capacity to transform from peaceful explorers to unstoppable warriors and back again within a single generation. Their potential as allies is matched only by their danger as enemies. As the notification was sent throughout the galaxy, thousands of species read about the small blue planet that had defended itself against impossible odds. And many began preparing diplomatic missions to Earth, eager to meet these strange, adaptable beings who had left the Galactic Council stunned.